Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm a few minutes late. I have a reason for that, which I'll explain in a second. I just want to welcome anybody who happens to come across me or have me come up as a reminder that I'm live. So welcome. Tonight is Case the Caddy. My name is Erica, and I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Victoria, British Columbia. I see that I am now live on my Facebook page, so welcome. You may be also catching me live over on my YouTube channel, and that's fantastic that you can see me there as well. So good evening, and tonight I have a fun card, and it's right at the back of the catalog. So often when I do Case the Caddy, I'm going through the suites or the stamp sets throughout the catalog. But sometimes there's also some great cards towards the back of the catalog. So you really have to look in all four corners of the catalog to find some really interesting inspiration. Good evening, Lena. Nice of you to join tonight. So I don't want to touch my camera right now. I have lent my regular laptop to my daughter to write an exam. And so I don't have that. And so I'm using an older little laptop here. And I've gone back to the camera app that I used to use that gave me so much trouble. And tonight that's why I'm late, because I had it all set up and then all of a sudden it just quit and you couldn't see my desktop at all. So I had to restart my computer, restart my phone, yada, yada, yada. But here I am. Wish me luck. I hope it stays going, but I'm not going to touch the stand. I'm just going to flip you down to my desktop and hope I don't bump it while we're crafting together. Anyway, tonight I'm going to be going back to Gallery Blooms. It's what we call a mega suite, or I call a mega suite. Stampin' Up! Doesn't refer to it that, but to me a mega suite it gives you two stamp sets. So typically a suite has one stamp set of dies, maybe an embossing folder, some papers, some ribbons, some embellishments. But a mega suite can have all of that plus two stamp sets. So in this case, Gallery Blooms has this one stamp set here called Gallery Blooms. And there's an absolutely gorgeous images on here. There's no greetings on this set, and that's why they've given you a second set that not only has greetings, but it has a few sort of like images that you can use as backgrounds, or you can create a pattern on your card. And then both stamp sets come with a set of dies. Am I right about that? Both come with a set of dies. Let me just open this package of dies just to double check if they're all in here, or it has two different sets of dies. No, there are two sets of dies. I just didn't bring out the other set. All right, so two sets of dies, plus it has, here's the other set of dies. So I'll show you that. And plus it has some gorgeous designer series paper too that we're not using tonight. All right, so let me just show you what I am going to be using. So let's turn my camera down and get started. Let's bring that to solo layout. So here we are. Okay, and I've got some shadowing happening here. Let's put another light on it. See if I can get rid of some of that shadow. My other light has a mind of its own. It doesn't stay in position. Okay, there we go. I think we're good. All right, so tonight we're going to be using some really pretty colors, purples and pinks together. So this is Petunia Pop. So this is going to be our card base, 5.5 by 8.5. And I'm going to score it down the middle to make a typical portrait style card. And then I have a piece of gorgeous grape that I'm going to cut down. And I'm also going to use the embossing folder that comes with this suite. There's a really pretty embossing folder here. I'm going to use that. So I'm actually going to be stepping up the project tonight. And then I'm using a piece of the 6x6 designer series paper. These are the new, these were last year's in colors. So they came out with new paper patterns. So you can get the in colors for both years, right? 24 to 26 and 25 to 27. So this is the magenta. The Petunia Pop color. So we're going to use a piece of designer series paper too as well. Sorry. So here is the catalog. This is page 134 and 135. It is just before the color collections of all of our papers and blends and et cetera, et cetera. So it's right towards the end of the catalog. It's called Color Personalities. And it's kind of just showing you that some different color combinations that you can use on your cards. Now, these are more or less what I call monochromatic. A monochromatic card is typically one set of colors, like all pinks, maybe all purples, all yellows, all reds, whatever, and different shades of that color, okay? So if you look at this example, we've got here, this is pecan pie, and they've added some what looks like early espresso. So they're kind of like the similar tones. Here you've got, I think this is strawberry slush, and that might be poppy parade in there. Pumpkin pie and the new timid tiger. Is it timid tiger? I think it's timid tiger. And then, so you get the idea, and the yellows and the blues and the pinks. So I chose to use this pink one here. So we're going to do purple stamping and the pink stamping as well. We're going to do the two colors for the stamping. But I love the layout of this card. I want to make all of these, to be honest with you, or you could just choose to do all of them with the in colors and then add that extra color from our basic color stash. So I just think I love the layout, and so I decided tonight to do this. This little piece here of cardstock here, this is what I'm going to emboss. Okay, and I'm also going to be using a die to cut out the frame as well, which I should have done ahead of time, but I didn't. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Hi, Gina. Nice of you to hop on while I'm live. Okay, so that's what we're going to be making. I'll just set that catalog down over here. So let's start off by scoring my card base here. So I'm using this Petunia Pop. It's a beautiful pink color. So I'm going to score this at 4 1/4 inches. Okay, we're going to start with that. And then we have to figure out some measurements on here. Actually, I should bring back my catalog, shouldn't I? So I can see what I'm doing. All right. So first of all, we'll cut out the frame, because if we cut out the frame, now, if you don't have the set of dies, just pretend this is a template, right? So you've got your card base, you've got a strip of designer series paper. I'm going to guess, let me fold my card. I'm going to guess that it might be, let's get my ruler. I'm going to guess that it might be 2 inches. Yeah, I'm going to say this is going to be a 2-inch strip. 2-inch strip. Okay, so we can cut that to a 2-inch strip. So this will be, and it goes from top to bottom. So this will be 2 by 5 1/2, because that's the height of our card. So 2 inches by 5 1/2. So if you want to write down the measurements, then you can use this as a template for other cards. Okay. So yeah, we're going to do that. So that'll be glued on top. Now this is 6 inches, so I have to cut this down to 5 1/2. I'm going to cut it a little bit longer just so I have an overlap. Sometimes even if you cut the paper the same, it's not the same. So we'll just have a little overlap, and then I can trim it. Okay, so 2 by 5 1/2. And then I'll trim it. Okay, so that's where we're going to start with. Okay, then we need the frame, and I need another piece of the Petunia Pop. So just bear with me a sec. Here we go. I've got another piece here. And I'm just going to cut this down to half of this, which is 4 1/4. And then I'm going to cut the frame out of here. So as I always tell people, when I'm cutting out some kind of a frame, it could be a circle, it could be a rectangle, it could be a square. I often cut it out of the center of a card. And then I can use the leftover piece for another card. So here's this fantastic frame. And what this frame does, it cuts out 3 pieces. So you'll end up with this rectangular piece in the middle. Then you end up with a smaller frame and a larger frame. Okay. So if I want to use this again, I can decide to put this right in the center of this card base here and then use the frame. Mind you, this is, yeah, I'll do this and see how it turns out. I think it cuts edge to edge, so it's going to be a really fine edge at the top and at the bottom. Let's just see, get the sides. We'll see if this makes a decent second card or not. Okay, so let's just run that through the embossing machine, or cutting machine, I should say. And I'm just going to put a Post-it note on there just to make sure it doesn't slide out of place while I'm cutting it. Yeah, okay. This didn't work out as well as I thought it would. Okay, this is going to be way too small a piece to work with, I think. Look at that. That really is not going to, and plus it's too large for an A2 size card. So forget what I said for this die. Okay, but here's the centerpiece that you get. I'm going to throw that out. And then you get 2 other dies, or 2 frames. So you get this frame, and then you get the larger frame. So it's cool. What's cool about this die is that you can then layer the dies in different colors if you wanted to. You could even do some funky stuff, like, you know, layer this on a card like that, or you could skew it and put it on a card like that, or you can do all kinds of things with it. Or you could decide to double it up. That kind of looks cool. Or you could cut this out of a different color, say white, and that would act as a mat. You know, when you frame pictures, you have a mat and then you have the frame. So that would be kind of a cool effect. And then this can always be used for sentiment. All right, so I think we have all our pieces ready. Oh, I need a piece of white that I'm going to mount on. We're going to use this larger frame, it looks like. Okay, so I'm going to grab a piece of white. I happen to have a piece of white cardstock here. And this is what we're going to be stamping on. Okay, so this is going to go underneath, but I'm going to trim it. So let's see, how wide is, let me just move this out of the way for a second. So how wide is this? This is 5 1/4. So I'm going to cut my paper down to 5 by 3.5. 3.5 by 5. So let's trim this down to 3.5 by 5. 3.5 by 5. So this will fit behind the frame. Okay, 3.5 by 5. You could cut it the same size of this, but sometimes, you know, you'll see the white on the edges. So I like to cut it down a little bit so that, you know, it's easier to glue on. All right, so we're going to build our flower on here. Okay, so we've got all of our pieces. Let me just burnish this piece and get my edges nice and tidy together. Bring out my bone folder. How are you ladies tonight? Oh, hi, Kate. You're coming to see what I'm up to. Well, I'm up to maybe some technical difficulties. I'm keeping my fingers crossed, and you guys need to keep your fingers crossed too. All right, now, what I want to do next is I want to check out these dies. This is from the other set. These are really, really cool dies. They're not matched up with any images. They're just standalone dies. I love standalone dies because you can use them anywhere. All right, we're going to use this gorgeous flower here. These to me look like peonies. What do you guys think? Do you think they're peonies? These look so much like peonies. I had the Poised Peony stamp set out today doing a card, and it looks just like that. They could also look like, oh, we need this other stamp too. What's that plant that has all the ants in it? They're big and fluffy looking, tons of petals. What are they called? I recently went to a birthday gathering and they had a huge vase of these. Oh, I think they're peonies. What am I thinking? They're peonies. Huge peonies. Huge pale pink peonies. They were just gorgeous. All right, now I need a large block for this. So no coloring tonight. It's just straight stamping, which is sometimes nice to have. Now, you know what? If you guys have your catalogs open, I'm thinking I need that smaller frame inside here. Is it 2 frames or 1? Maybe it's just the smaller frame. Let's see. I'm going to stamp the poppies and see what happens because not all of them are framed. The frame kind of cuts off half the side of the poppy. So, okay, so I am stamping this in the Gorgeous Grape. All right, and I'm going to, because this is a large stamp, I'm going to put ink to stamp versus the other way around. Okay, and we're going to stamp this. And it kind of looks like it's on a bit of an angle. So we're going to do that. Now, nothing's stopping you from coloring these in. These would be very pretty if it's outlined in purple, and then you could color it with the Petunia Pop if you wanted to. You could do another card just to see how that turns out. I don't need that piece of cardstock. Okay. And then I need another piece of cardstock. I need this other flower. So here's another piece. Yeah, so let's have a look at this. Yes, I think it's using the smaller frame. Absolutely. It's using the smaller frame. So I'm definitely going to have to cut down my paper again. Yeah, I'm going to have to cut my paper down. So what size is this now? This is 4 1/4. So I'm going to cut it down, say 4 by 4 by 4 by 2 1/2. 4 by 2 1/2. So 4. I'm going to have to do it from both ends here. So make this now 4 inches. Oh boy, that's cutting it close. Let's go a little bit longer. Okay, 4 by, what did I say, 2 1/2. I'm going to do a little less than 2 1/2. I have to trim on both sides here. I'll get these measurements worked out and then I'll post them so that you can see. Let's go a little bit more. I hope I didn't mess that up, you guys. Let's just see. Nope, we'll be good. We'll make it work. I'm going to take a little bit more off the bottom. Wait. See if I can get more of that poppy in there. You know what? I'm just going to leave it like it is. It's fine. It's fine. All right, so that's our frame. So we figured out that we're using the smaller frame. And so you can cut this down to, I've got this at 2 5/8 by 2 5/8 by 4 1/8. If you want to take down those measurements. Okay. So I'm going to take some glue. And I'm going to put it, just a little bit of glue, just on the inside edge here, just so it catches the white. Okay. I could have trimmed that a little bit more. I just want to hide the white. There we go. Okay. All right, so there is our, I've just got a tiny bit of white right there. I'm going to trim that off. This could have been a little bit more narrow. We'll just try and trim a little bit off here. There you go. Okay. So that's nicely framed. So now I'm going to take this little stamp. This is not going to be in the purple. This is going to be in the pink. And again, we have no coloring to do. And to be honest with you, I don't do this very often. I don't not color my flowers, and I very rarely stamp them in a color other than, say, black or gray for flowers. But here you go. I'm kind of learning a new way of doing things, which is always fun. So, and I've got a die to cut this out. So let's just do that like that. Look how pretty that is. Okay, so let's close up our ink pad. And I've got this piece that I trimmed off because we just want a greeting, just a note. I love just a note. Just a note, there it is. We're going to use that greeting. Queen Anne lace? No, I think I figured it out, Lena. Thanks. No, they're peonies. They're just huge, big peonies, and they get a lot of ants in them. So a lot of people kind of don't like to bring them in the house because there's tons of ants in there. And I do remember that. I used to have peonies in my garden. What am I looking for here? Just a note. Oh, there it is. Just a note. Yeah. And I would find, you know, ants crawling around on my kitchen table. Not too fun, right? But they're gorgeous. They're absolutely gorgeous. And they come in beautiful colors. Let me just put this closer to me so I can see what I'm doing. Just a note, okay? And this is going to be in the gorgeous grape. So this is towards the end, and I'm probably going to end up trimming it a bit. I'm going to bring this a bit closer here. I'm hoping I get it on there straight. Woo, look at that. First try. Okay, and that's going to be trimmed down. Now there are some gems here. I don't think I purchased these gems. They are the new in color gems, I think. But I don't think I bought those, so I might have to put some other gems on here. All right, let's get out. Let's close the ink pad. Always close the ink pad. And let's get out. I need the embossing folder, and I also need the other dies here. Here it is. We need this little die right here. this one. Okay, so the one set of dies has the frame, and then it has a few little flowers in here, as well as these flowers that cut out some of the other images. And then the other stamp set has just the embossed kind of dies. Okay, so we're going to cut this out. I just adore this set. I love it. I keep coming back to it again and again. So what have I been up to lately? Well, I have been tidying up my other craft room, which is usually just, it collects all my retired stuff. So I've been tidying that up. I've been matching up all of my suites from the last, I'm going to say 2 years. I have suites, and I'm matching up the stamp set, the dies, any embossing folders, the ribbons, the embellishments, and I'm trying to keep them all in a set because I love making cards in a box or cards in a bag. So I wanted to get everything together because typically I throw my embellishments in one box and I throw my embossing folders in another box and the dies in another box. And then I have to hunt and peck and, you know, reach into all these boxes to get all the coordinated suite products. I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to grab a bag or a box and do them. I've been purchasing, see this box here I have? I've been purchasing these off of Amazon. It's this really cool little, it's got clips at the bottom so that you can close it. And it fits our 12 by 12 papers. Sometimes you have to take them out of the package though. But it fits everything in the suite, the ribbon, the embellishments, the paper. And then I make this piece here. I'm just going to show you some organization that I do that you might be interested in. So I take this image off the online store. This is a whole suite. So I take that off. And then I put what's in the suite. So this is a beautiful gallery suite. These are all the products in it. And these are all the colors. And I put this in the case. So when I reach for it, I have it all together. So, and I only do this for my suites. And then when they retire and I sell them off, then I have these empty cases. But I did buy, I think I bought 2 boxes of those. I think it was a set of 10 in each. But they're really, really handy for keeping your suites together. Okay, so we have this, we have this. Let's bring back the card base now. And we have to glue this on. We're going to glue this right down the middle. So let me get my Tombow. Look at this pretty pattern on the back. Really pretty. So let's just put some glue on here. Oh, you just cut your peonies? You probably had quite a few. And you had these torrential rains. Oh my God. Yeah, they would have kind of destroyed them. They would have washed all the ants out though. This paper makes a great background because it's kind of just, it looks like it's been splattered with water. So often when I want a piece of DSP to fit top to bottom of my card, I cut it just a smidge longer just to make sure it is indeed the right size. And then I just trim it off. It's one of my anal things that I do. I hate when things don't line up. Okay, so there's our card front. So this is going to go on here. I'm looking back at my catalog. There's a little bit of the DSP showing behind. Then this piece is going to go right here. And then just to note, I'm just laying things out so you can see. Then this piece is going to come across right here. And yes, I do have to trim that. So I'm going to do I love this little trim trick here where you just do a little angle. Just gives it a little bit more interest. So that's going to come across like that. And then we need the piece of purple back here. So I think this is the perfect width. This was just a scrap. No, it's too long. So I'm just going to trim that. I don't know. This is probably just about 2 inches long. It's just going to tuck behind. Let's make it 2 inches long. And let's just cut off. How long is this anyway? This is 4 1/4. Let's just go 3 1/2 and see if that's good enough. So I want this piece just to tuck there. Look at that, just in behind there. But I'm going to emboss this piece just to add, again, something extra. So I'm going to pull out this beautiful embossing folder. These remind me of like a Turkish pattern. I don't know why I think that, but I do. So I'm going to emboss this. Now, this is not a 3D embossing folder. It's very, very thin. So you need to cushion that. You need to cushion that between your two acrylic plates. So it's kind of like a regular embossing folder. So remove your cutting plate and then run it through. Okay, so see the result. Oh, look at that. I don't know if the camera will pick that up. Can you see that? The embossing on there. There, you can see it there now. Very, very cute. Okay, so that's that. All right, we're pretty well ready to assemble our card. So I'm going to, this is going to go on here like this, but I need to tuck that. Now that white is showing here still. Yeah, you'll need to cut this down a little bit more. I'm going to cut it down. I'll probably cut it down before I stamp on it next time. Okay. And this is going to fit in behind here. So I'm going to put this on like this. There's a little bit of an edge to the card. So we're just going to glue that on like that. How are you liking this layout so far? Is that something you might use again? I'm going to try and center it and leave a little bit of an edge on the right-hand side there. And then this is going to go on here. Now you could put this up on dimensionals, but we're going to have the just a note on dimensionals. So I think it's probably better to be on there flat. If you're going to mail things, you don't want too much dimension. So this is going to go, yeah, there's a little bit of the Designer Series paper poking out of there. Okay, so that's on there like that. And then we've got our little flower. Now I'm going to do my typical pop the head of the flower up with my mini dimensionals. So I'm going to grab one of these and put this on the top here. Okay, and then I'm going to put a bit of glue on here. And this is going on an angle like that, well over onto that purple piece. Very sweet. And then this just a note is going to go on here. And I think, yeah, I think I can pop these on dimensionals. What color peonies do you have, Gina? Oh, I should grow them again. I used to have them in a big pot. Okay, just a note. And there's still a bit of white showing. And I'm going to do it just like that. Look at that. Okay, now I'm just going to go to the embellishment page here. Let's put my cap on here. And let's have a look at embellishments. I usually mark up my calendar, but I didn't do it this time. These are the they're using, I think they're using the 2024 to 2026 in color flat pearls because of the pink in there. And they also have the 2025 to 2027. Can you see that? These are the two in color dots here. So I think I do have, let's pull out my current. Let's see, do I have them in here? Any pink will do. Yeah, here they are. As a matter of fact, these 2024 to 26 in colors came out when they came out, and these are flat matte dots. These have got a shine to them. So I didn't buy these because it says new. So these are from when they first came out, the colors, but you know, I'm going to use them anyway because I happen to have 2 packs of those. But I'm mad about embellishments, so I usually have a lot. You could also use from the spring catalog. We had those fantastic, these. Do you remember these from Celebration? You could earn these. I don't know if you guys earned those, but look at all the pinks in there and the white, and they're all fluorescent. They're really cool. Yeah. Okay. So we'll use these. Just put a few on there. All right. So where's my picture? Let's just see, what did they do for putting embellishments? You can put them anywhere you like, really. Okay. So they've got 1 on here, and then they've got 3 in here. Okay. Now, if you remember, the Lavender Suite came with these absolutely gorgeous purple rhinestones. So if you have those rhinestones, because you've got this purple in here, you could use those too. Okay, I want to put a large pink. We'll use pink, a large pink one up here. Yeah, the new ones are shiny. I think I might have to get the new ones because they're shiny. Okay, and we've got another large one down here, right about here. And then we're going to do a little one right here. All right. There's the card. Ooh, I really like this layout. You've got your DSP, you've got your frame, you've got your embossing, simple stamping with colors instead of black. Let me know in the comments what you think. Okay, now I used up my last piece of white, 4 by 5 1/4, so I can't do the inside tonight, but I think I will definitely, I could put another greeting in here. I just learned something tonight. I saw a reel tonight. Let me show you this really cool thing. Let's see. Let me find a stamp I can do it. This was really, really cool. Okay. Let's say you want to use one of these greetings. Let's hope this example works. I hate when things don't work that well. Let's say you want to do this. Well, we'll do this one. So this one says, wishing you love and happiness that lasts a lifetime. Well, that's obviously a little wedding greeting. Okay, so you take your greeting and you're going to stamp it regularly. So I'm going to mount it, and I'll just use this scrap paper. I just learned this tonight. It's kind of cool. So say you're going to stamp it in, well, we'll use purple as an example. You don't want to use black. This trick doesn't work well for black. So you're going to stamp it. Okay, you're going to stamp it. Okay. And then you're going to clean your stamp. Uh-oh, I left my cleaner in the kitchen. Okay, I'll just stamp off here. I cleaned it and forgot to bring it back in. So just clean off that ink. And now what you're going to do is you're going to reverse it. So reverse it so that the flat part of the stamp, this is not raised anymore. This is the flat. In other words, it's the back of the stamp. Okay, then you're going to ink it up again, but you don't want to do full strength. You want to stamp it off, maybe even a couple of times. And then you're going to stamp it over your greeting. And look what you get. Isn't that cool? I think that is so, so cool. I almost have to put that little tip on a Post-it note, and so I can remember to use it. Can you put a wink of Stella on the dots? Ooh, good question. I don't know if the wink of Stella will dry on the dots. You know what? Let's give it a go. And if it does dry, I can just wipe it off. Where's my wink of Stella? I've got two on. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's try wink of Stella on the dots. Good suggestion. Okay, let's have a look. Yep, they're sparkly and they're shiny, but that's because it's wet. So let's just see what happens when they dry. But good idea. And also, because of this dark color, I love doing this too. Because you've stamped this in this dark purple, you can use your wink of Stella, and if you drag the dark into the white, you can color with it. So I've done that, and it works with dark inks. Doesn't work well with pale inks, but things like I do it at Christmas time on with Cherry Cobbler or Blackberry Bliss or Spruce. Any of the dark colors, and then you stamp the image. So say it's a tree, it's a solid image of a tree, and then you just drag your wink of Stella over it, and you can fill in the bits of white with the green. It's really a cool trick. Yeah, let's see if that wink of Stella works. It's drying. I can see as it's drying, the liquidy part of it is kind of shrinking, but I think the sparkle will stay. Anyway, I'll report on that tomorrow. Anyway, I hope you like this little tip. I love it. I think it's really, really cool. I might do that in here when I get another white piece in here, and I'll do a greeting. All right, ladies, that is it for tonight. Let me just pull me back just so I can say goodbye. There we go. Okay, we had success with the camera tonight, and I can't wait to get my other laptop back, but I think she's writing her exam late next week, but this little laptop seems to be working okay. So have a great weekend. I'm doing a fun fold tomorrow, so you can always watch the replay if you can't make it live. That's fine. But I'm doing a fun fold tomorrow morning, and then I'll be back on Monday for Mojo Monday again. So thanks very much, ladies. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.